Zayin Mishnah Gimel. Now, till now, we've only mentioned two of the karbonos that the Kohen Gadol has offered up on Yom Kippur. That is his par, and also his so'ir. Of course, there are two se'irim, the so'il Hashem and the so'il Azazel, but the so'il Azazel is not really a carbon because it's thrown off, it's not offered up. So far, we've actually only discussed two karbonos. In reality, the Kohen Gadol will actually offer up either 15 or 16, it's machlokas, animals on Yom Kippur. If you count from the Pesukim, you will get to a number of 16. And how do you get to that number of 16? Well, the Kahati in the introduction sets it out very nicely. He says, first of all, there's the Tomid Shel Shach and the Tomid Shel Bein Ha'abayim. That's two behemoths. Then you've got the Par and the El Shel Kohen Gadol, which, like the Pasuk says, B'zois Yavei Aron Al HaKodesh B'par Ben Boker Lechatas V'ayel La'olah. So that gives you 4. Then you have the So'eh Va'el Shel Yisrael. That makes it up to 6. Plus, you then have Shiva Kvosim, Par Va'ayel V'Shiva Kvosim, V'So'eh Echod Lechatas, which makes it 10. Adding to the 6 gives you 16. So in total, and according to Rebbe, it's actually 15 because there's like a double count. But either way, he's only done 2 so far. So the next 2 Mishnayos are going to describe how exactly the other karbonos are offered up by the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur. So the Mishnah says as follows. Haroya Kohen Gadol, sorry, wrong Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, in Big Day Vutz Kohen. If the Kohen Gadol is still wearing the Big Day Butz, the Big Day Lovon, if we recall in the previous Mishnah, the Kohen Gadol read from the Torah, and he had a choice. Either he could remain in the Big Day Lovon, or he could wear his own white robes. It's up to him. So, if he was wearing the Big Day Lovon, then the procedure was as follows. Kiddush Yodov V'Raglov, he would do Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim, which he would always do before he would change, before he would take off the begodim he was wearing. Poshat, he would then get undressed, take off the Big Day Lovon. Yorad V'Toval, he would go down and immerse. Olav V'Nistapik, he would get out of the mikveh, V'Nistapik, and dry himself off. And then Hevi'u Lo Big Day Zohov, they would bring him the Big Day Zohov, V'Lavash V'Kiddush Yodov V'Raglov, and he would get dressed and do Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim again. So standard procedure. If, however, he chose to change into his own white robes, then of course he would now have to put on the Big Day Zohov, but he wouldn't need the Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim before he takes his clothes off. He's already done that. When he put his own clothes on, he would do Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim and then take off the Big Day Lovon, put on his own robes, and then he would simply take them off, put on the Big Day Zohov. He would take them off, go to the mikveh, put on the Big Day Zohov, do Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim. So that's what the Mishnah means. In Big Day Butz Korah, if he would read the Torah whilst he was wearing the Big Day Lovon, then he would have to do Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim, undress, go to the mikveh, put on the Big Day Zohov, and do Kiddush Yadayim. If, however, he was wearing his own clothes, he had already done the Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim before taking off the Big Day Lovon, and therefore all he needed to do was disrobe, take off his own clothes, and then be tovel, go to the mikveh, put on the Big Day Zahav, and then do Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim. Okay. V'yotza v'osa es elo v'es el ha'am. He would then go out. The Tiferes Yisrael thing explains, it means he was positioned, as we described previously. Here's the Kodesh, here is the Mizbeach, he was positioned now over here. He would go around to the Tzofan to do the karbonos, to do the shchit and the avodah of these karbonos. So v'yotza, why it says dafka here is questionable, because he would make this move elsewhere without it saying v'yotza. But either way, v'yotza, he would go out. V'osa es elo v'es el ha'am. He would then go and be makriv his ayil, his ram, and the el ha'am. Now that's an explicit pasuk. And a pasuk in Vayikra Tezayin, pasuk Chavdalet. The pasuk says v'rochatz es b'sora b'mayim b'makom kodesh v'lovash es begodov. He put on the clothes, the Big Day Zahav. V'yotza v'osa es elosoi v'es olas ha'am. So therefore, he's just performing exactly what that pasuk says. Continues the Mishnah. V'shivas kvosim tzmimim b'nei shana, and he would offer up the 7 kvosim tzmimim, the unblemished male sheep, the one in their first year. That's how the article translates it. He would offer up divrei Rebbe Eliezer. Now, the Gemara concludes that this Mishnah is quite incomplete. And really, you could spend a lot of time on this Mishnah. We're constrained within the 5 or so minutes that we have per Mishnah, if possible. So we'll have to do it fairly briefly. But the Gemara brings a brisa, which says that according to Rebbe Eliezer, after this Tevilah, which is his third Tevilah on Yom Kippur, he would actually only bring Eloi ve'el ha'am, his ram and the ram of the people, and then he would be makdir, the emurim of the par and the soy hapnim, i.e. the par, his par, which we mentioned previously, and the soy Hashem, which we've also mentioned previously. That he'll be makriv the emurim, the sacrificial parts of those karbonos, but he would not be makriv the par ha'olah and the shivas kvasim and the soy lechatzos. That he would only do in the afternoon. The Mishnah, according to this, is a little bit incomplete. It doesn't mention anything about the emurim of the par of the soy Hashem, but the Gemara notes that and concludes indeed that the Lashon the Gemara uses is that it's not maskanta, it's not actually complete, there's something lacking or missing from the Mishnah, but that's Pshat in Rebbe Eliezer, that's what Rebbe Eliezer holds. Now, why is that? Because Rebbe Eliezer explains in the Brisa that, like I mentioned, there are two parshas, Vayikra Tes Zayin and Bamidbar Chaf Tes. Vayikra Tes Zayin speaks about Eloi ve'el ha'am and the emurim of the par and the soy. So therefore that's what he does now at this stage. However, the par and the ola and the shivas kvosim and the soy hanasi bachutz is actually mentioned with the musofim in Bamidbar Chaf Tes. So Rebbe Eliezer understands he won't do that now, but he'll do that later on. Okay, that's Rebbe Eliezer. Divrei Rebbe Eliezer. Rabbi Akiva argues and said, Im Tomit Shal Shachar Hayu Kravin. He would indeed offer up the Shiva Kvosim now with the Tomit Shal Shachar. However, Upar Ha'olah, the soy Hanasad Bachutz, the soy which he offers up outside, Hayu Kravin Im Tomit Shal Ben Ha'arbaim. That he would offer up with the Tomit Shal Ben Ha'arbaim. So really the machlokas is when he's going to offer up the Shiva Kvosim. According to Rabbi Eliezer, he will delay that till the afternoon because those kvosim are referred to in Bamidbar Chaf Tes, which is the parsha of the Musafin. Rabbi Akiva, however, would say no, those Shiva kvosim are offered up with the Tomit Shal Shachris, and only the par and the ola and the soy hanasa bachutz would be offered up with the Tomit Shal Ben Ha'arbaim. Rabbi Akiva's position is explained in a brayso in the Gemara. It's quite complicated to go through the various pesukim, but for our purposes, that's all we really need to understand. That is the end of Mishnah Gimel.